right, greeting gamers. We are back. Greeting gamers, greeting gamers, greetings gamers. We're back.
Greetings.
Yeah, G3 podcast here. You got the whole trio in the house. Episode 107. This is going to be kind of an interesting episode. Y'all know how we do. Like, subscribe, do all the normal type stuff. You got your boy. Known as Ice on all things gaming and social media, feeling a little warmer than usual, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. Also, we are rounding out the crew here on. We're not doing the Hollywood Squares thing necessarily, but you see a different layout here. And starting from the bottom right, we got none other than
Killionaire. Unfreaking believable. Hail to the king.
Guten Abend.
Mr. Snipe 90. What's going on there? With his questionable taste in mustache. Guten Abend, mein Frau.
Good evening.
All right. We'll just skip right past that. And of course, rounding out the trio, we got.
We're the best.
Looking like he just got back from a murder scene, Mr. MowThemDown. What is going on, sir?
I did. Don't tell anybody that.
Hair's looking all disheveled.
Yeah.
Texture.
Yeah. What's up, everybody? Glad to take up some of your precious evening.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you guys, so when you guys are watching this, we went ahead and we tried playing. There's apparently some more stuff going on, whether it's OBS or YouTube or whatever. I didn't have the opportunity to really do a deep dive, but we'll figure out what's going on. But this is going to be pre-recorded, so we shouldn't have any of the issues that we had last week with regard to the audio or the video dropping out. So with that, please give us another chance. But we're going to go ahead and start talking about some stuff. And it's actually pretty decent start because we got some
Good news, everyone.
So let's talk about said good news, and that being, it appears that PlayStation made a good move by going ahead and releasing Helldivers 2 on the PS5 and on the PC on Steam. So when we look at it, I just looked at it before the show started. The top 2 selling games on Steam were Helldivers 2 is number 1, followed immediately by Palworld. Looking at Metacritic, I mean, the game came out just 2 days ago. Yeah, 2 days ago. Looking on Metacritic, it's rocking 8.7. 2 days. We want to give it a little bit more time for that score to kind of really settle in there. But I've been hearing nothing but good things in the social media space about the game. I've literally, I think it was Jez Corden over at Windows Central talking about this is the Starship Troopers game we always wish we had, and I'm actually that oddly enough, as a Starship Troopers fan, like that kind of sits well with me. So is this, and of course there's also mixed stuff coming out about why it's so successful, the quality of the game. But also the fact of it came out at $40, right? So some of the discussion points that we've had about certain other games, Prince of Persia, kind of begs the question of how much that changed that dynamic of sales at all. So, being the other PlayStation owner in the house, Mr. Snipe 90, you got any thoughts starting us off here on Helldivers 2 and the potential success there? You think Sony did a good move by doing a day-and-date release on PC?
Probably not.
And how are you enjoying your PS5? I'm sorry.
Yeah. The PS5 I don't own.
Yeah, I say he's got a PlayStation. He's had PlayStation.
The
It's true.
yes. So the game itself, it's got like some Anthem / Battlefront vibes to it, from what I see. So that's probably a little enticing to people. But yeah, it looks good. I mean, it's probably going to shoot themselves in the foot, put it on PC, sort of sales-wise. They're trying to... It's odd. I mean, they usually stick to their yearly port or whatever, you know. But I guess we'll see if it. I mean, it's definitely gonna wreck sales on the PC side for sure.
Right.
But I mean, good for them. I mean, they're moving in the right direction.
Okay, and Mr. MowThemDown, what are you thinking as we're talking about Helldivers here? Do you agree with Snipe that it was a bad move, or do you think it was a quality one? Like, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I don't think it was a bad move. I think from the success that they're seeing, I would say it seems like a pretty justifiable decision, I guess. As far as like, I guess the idea that it would somehow hurt the sales maybe over on PlayStation or something, but I mean, the sales are sales. I guess they might, take a bigger cut of the sale, over on the PlayStation side. But I imagine that people on the PlayStation, you know, it's kind of that age old thing of, okay, well, if you've already got it and you got the PlayStation, whatever, are you going to buy it there or on PC? But hey, either way, they got your money. So I don't know that it'll. I don't know that
I was
see
thinking
it
more
as
of
like a terrible move.
the non PS5 owner, I guess.
Yeah, and I guess that's kind of what I was
Well,
going
yeah,
for
that's
too, right? Is the thought that the game, if it was subject to the normal, and I'm playing some video for us here, so we're kind of talking over video in the background, but versus the normal PlayStation business ideology of, hey, let's put it out on our console and sell as many as we can on the console, and then after the hype cycles died down and whatnot, let's recoup some more sales by then putting it out on Steam or PC in general, let's say. I'm curious if they're going, and who knows, right? If it's successful, then undoubtedly PlayStation is going to turn around and they're going to start touting numbers and how many copies sold and this, that, and the other, like we've seen in the past. I am actually just hopeful that this does go positively for them. Not only is this, in my eyes, a positive on the consumer side, as gamers, because the people on PC who wouldn't otherwise get to play this thing so early are now getting an opportunity to jump in and try it out. And then as well, the folks who, are on PlayStation, like, I'm sure they're like, yeah, it's great because it's not on Xbox. Like, but it's going ahead and hopefully it is good numbers for PlayStation. I hope that's the case because it looks like it's a fun game. I haven't got to dive into it yet myself, but I'm hoping that we see more of this mentality of like, it's okay to diversify and not have people on PC wait ages and ages, 2-3 years in some cases, to go ahead and get to play, what it's not necessarily a first party game per se, but at least something from the first party type stable, if that makes sense. What'd you have, Mo?
So I was just gonna say, like, there is maybe, I guess, the notion that you make your sales first on your PlayStation and then you make them on the PC, but that's kind of like a Rockstar thing or whatever, because they know that people will go buy a console and they'll get the game on the console or whatever, and then they'll buy it again on PC. But I don't know if Sony necessarily counts on that, so to speak. I would guess that the delay is often just, greater time needed to finish up the PC release or whatever. Probably isn't the focus originally because they want to release it on the PlayStation for the people that are there. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, again, it's doing well so far. Admittedly, it's only been a couple of days, but yeah, I don't know. I like you said, that was something I was gonna say. I'm hoping that this is indicative of the strategy going forward. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, they've seen other titles that they've released on PC do well, so hopefully, this is going to be something that they're putting a greater focus into to have them released simultaneously. Because yeah, it does help to allow the PC community to get it at release when the hype is going to be there, especially if it's going to be a co-op thing where they're trying to presumably maybe do some kind of a live service or something. But you want to keep people engaged. You want to make sure that there's enough of a player base there to kind of support that and everything. And the age-old thing is always, like, well, we're worried about PC pirating it and everything, you know, and yeah, but that's going to happen either way, and people are going to be more inclined to pay like the full retail price if it comes out at the same time, so that they're not late to the hype party. You know what I mean?
It's okay. Speak the truth. Logan's not here. It's all right. This is a safe
Yeah,
space.
yeah. So no, yeah, I don't know. I can't see anything wrong with the decision. I'm hoping that yeah, this is going to be kind of the strategy going forward. I'm hoping that that's going to be well, it kind of already is the strategy going forward on some. We'll get to it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you made a good point there, talking about when the development happens, and yeah, a lot of other, you know, what has classically been the PlayStation first party stuff. They focus on developing the PC ports and everything after the fact, where obviously
There's a lot more
seems like
variables to optimize for
yeah,
on
yeah,
PC and
yeah.
everything, and they can
But
spend more time.
but
You
at
know?
the same
Yeah.
token, now I don't think, and I say this again, like a little brashly, but at this point, PlayStation's got no excuses, right? Especially if they see that the numbers are good on this. They've got Nixes, and there's a couple of the like support studios that go ahead and focus on that PC port capability. And those are all in house and owned by PlayStation. So there shouldn't be, at least in my eyes, any issue going forward on can they or can't they go ahead and make this happen, right?
Right.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, I hope that it'll go ahead. I want to play it. I don't know if I want to play it on PC or on PlayStation. I mean, tomato doesn't really matter, I guess, unless you're like
Yeah.
really in
It
with
was like,
the.
well, if they're gonna put it on the service so that I can play it on PlayStation.
I mean, that would be nice, but you know, whatever. I'm not gonna gripe about that. But yeah, good news for PlayStation for anybody that is interested in some PlayStation titles, and that's the good news, right? Now we get to the somewhat awkward news, which let's be frank, everybody's been talking about it. This is going to be the majority of the rest of the show is talking about the shenanigans of what will be coming of Xbox here after some of the recent leaks and announcements. And my camera is going to play this game again. We'll see. We'll see if it decides to come on back. Okay, it's coming on back. But yeah, so apparently, and I'm trying to be here at Microsoft headquarters, so I can talk smack about them. So, it was leaked, and apparently, what came out is there were very prominent, well-regarded influencers or media types or leakers that went ahead and were saying, "Hey, you know, don't be surprised if you start seeing some Xbox first party stuff come on over to other platforms, i.e., PlayStation, right?" And everyone was kind of like, okay, yeah, we kind of heard a couple of those, right? Potentially like a Sea of Thieves, potentially a Hi-Fi Rush. You know, we kind of heard about that, but then we started hearing Starfield and Gears of War as some name drops, and I think that is when we saw the world of Xbox fanboys, PlayStation ponies, like everybody just kind of going at it, or Xbox and PlayStation ponies. Let's keep the monikers fair here. But I think that's where you really start seeing stuff go to war online, and this also was fueled by a tweet that came out from Phil Spencer himself shortly after some of this rumor mill came out, and Phil said, quote, "We're listening
We're
and we
going out
hear
of
you.
business.
We've been planning a business update event for next week where we look forward to sharing more details with you about our vision for the future of Xbox. Stay tuned," end quote. And that was from February 5th at around noon p.m. And at least noon p.m. as I'm reading it is West Coast time here. So basically around lunch, Phil took some time on the 5th to go ahead and make that tweet. So this upcoming week, we should hear something coming of the business plan going forward, what that looks like. But that tweet alone just set things ablaze because, you know, Phil's usually been, let's be fair, he's been pretty good as a wordsmith and going ahead and saying the right things at the right time to hit the right notes with at least the fan base. This one did not settle so well. And I jumped into at least one or two Twitter spaces that seemed interesting. Very contentious in some portions, very mild mannered and logical in others. And I've kind of formed at least my multiversal, three different outtakes of what could come of this. But I'm interested to open the floor first to you guys. So, Mr. Mow Them Down, always very vocal about corporate culture as it influences gaming. So why don't you, what if you can, just keep it to like 15 minutes, right?
Yeah, yeah. No, I don't know. I don't have a whole lot to say on this. I think that,
Really?
well, I mean, I think the reaction is overblown. Like, A, people don't know what's happening. But B, like, frankly, I hope that they go ahead and start making all their stuff multi-platform. Like, I think they're leaving potential money on the table, and yeah, the console war is stupid. Like, let's get rid of that. They're already putting themselves in a position where they're trying to get away from just being captive to singular piece of hardware anyway. Um, I don't know. I don't know. I'm thinking that this is just part of the continuation of them expanding, into a borderless future, if you will, where you can take your Xbox everywhere and anywhere and play it anywhere you want and everything. If people are like, oh well, then I don't need an Xbox. Well, cool, yeah, exactly. Like we take loss on hardware sales anyway. So if you want to go buy a PlayStation and then pay us for a Game Pass subscription, if they'll do that, or you want to buy our games directly, then perfect. Uh, I don't know, man. I don't know. I, they're preparing for that consoleless future where, you're streaming everything anyway or whatever. I want my consulting fee, Phil. I know you're watching.
All right, Mr. 790. Moving along from that very non-argumentative, very uncharacteristic
I'll
of
throw
Mr.
some.
Mow Them Down.
I try and get it rolling for you guys here. So like, the game industry as a whole doesn't really seem healthy, as a, as healthy state. So
Let me peel that onion layer back a little, if we could, though. Why do you think that's the case?
well, as Matt alluded, it doesn't seem like it's for the consumer anymore. It's I won't say his exact words, but like everything's becoming streaming services, subscriptions. Developers are losing jobs left and right. It trickles down to even the small time developers for like Toys for Bob, for like Crash Bandicoot and all Spyro. They have like 86 layoffs, and like the remainder are like remote now. So like they don't even have a job to go to. It's all like virtual. So like everything is like AI and virtual, and it's just steady decline. I feel like the games were, the developers were supposed to make these great games for the consumer that they can play on for years to come and actually enjoy their job and come to work every day and it's like, oh, we made this. But now getting beat down by the bigger man, and it's not a career anymore. It's just more of a, how am I going to survive? You know what I mean? It's like they just want the money in the pocket, and then kind of this. Thanks for your, partnership, but well, better luck next time, I guess. It's like a slap in the face almost.
Yeah, it sounds like you're bridging the two things here, right? Their future business plans and what we've seen, at least over the past 13, 14 months with regard to the industry, and it sounds like your indication of health being, the welfare, well-being of the employees and the type of products they're able to put out. And I will agree with an asterisk, right? Like the fact that I just saw, I think it was PC Gamer did the article, and they were talking about something like 16,000 employees have been let go in the past 13 months, and they kind of like had little dots. It's an infographic that I'm sure Mo would absolutely just melt over. But it had little
Yeah, I was gonna
dots.
share it with you.
Yeah, it had little dots representing like each employee that was let go kind of deal. And you could see, to me, it was kind of interesting because you could see like definitive periods when,
Yeah, the timeline. Yeah.
yeah, when the dots were a little more concentrated, may or may not have coincidentally lined up with quarterly earnings report timeframes. Like that's a little bit of you know, gesturing on my part because not every company is going to have the same quarterly cutoffs. But there were definitely like set time frames when you could see the lines were more defined. That being said, I think another argument that I've heard is studios and publishers are finding that game making has become too expensive, and you know they need to make such a high return on investment and blah blah blah. And I'm gonna be frank, I call bullshit on that, and I say that because you look at Pal World as an example, right? Not, again, haven't got to play it yet. You guys, I think, have got to dabble in a little bit, or one of you has gotten to, but not super, you know, revolutionary as far as gameplay and what, like, they kind of copied little tropes from different games here and there, and they just made something that tapped into a fan base, Pokemon, that may or may not have been seeking this. And as I'm looking at it right now, the latest one I see is from The Verge, where they're talking about the game sold more than 12 million copies on Steam. So that's 12 million copies on Steam. That's not talking about the actual number of downloads or whatever on Game Pass. And that's the type of number that any publisher would just absolutely just, you know, just go eye watering over if their game could reach that success. And they did not spend a lot of money, as I understand it. They did not spend a lot of money to make this. This wasn't a $120 million budget or whatnot, right? So, I say it, and I say it in the way that I always say it. Like, just make a good friggin' game, and people are going to flock to it, and the word of mouth is going to do the job for you. I think they get far too focused on trying to develop a business plan and try to develop ways of getting that return on investment through the game rather than focusing on building a freaking great game that's going to draw people in, and then you could more or less go for whatever asking price you're looking for. And again, I'm going to recall, you know, what we talked about last week, and I'm not trying to be a dick about it, but like Prince of Persia, like, from what I've seen and heard, that is not a $50 game, and it sounds like they led the horse to water kind of deal. They said this is the price point that we need in order to sell this much, you know, this many, or make the return on investment, and they didn't friggin' do it. So just, and I say that, stop firing your friggin' employees, make a good game, get creative and make a good game, and clearly the thing is going to sell like hotcakes. Sorry, I'm tired of the, and this is not directed at you guys, obviously, but I'm tired of the narrative of the industry is not healthy because game making is too expensive. It doesn't have to be. And I'm not sitting here advocating for AI to jump on board and take away jobs of, you know, air breathing, you know, warm blooded human beings either. Like, those people can play a valuable asset, and quite frankly, AI is not super creative. Maybe that'll change in the future. Yeah. But like, you look at Chat GPT and all this other crap that's out there, like, it's machine learning, and it's what is it? Not MLA, MLL, whatever the acronym is, but it basically, like, the thing scours the internets and throws something together and goes, this is what you want. And all it is realistically like the time and effort that we as humans would take to find multiple different sources, this thing does in a matter of, you know, seconds or whatnot. That's the biggest thing, at least in my opinion, that's the biggest thing that is good for right now. It is not creative like a human being is. We can't substitute that right now, so stop firing your freaking people. I get it. You need to make a bottom line. Again, being an investor in a lot of different companies, tell the investors, suck it up, because you're trying to go ahead and focus on putting out good quality product, which will then raise your stock price, which the investors will then be happy by. Anyway, sorry, that really got me off on a tangent.
Do you think we would be talking about this if Game Pass never existed?
Which part?
Playoffs?
Yeah.
I don't know if one relates with the other, and I say that because Game Pass,
In
same
terms of
same.
sale, I guess I'm moving towards more
Oh, I get
towards
what you're
your
saying. The
sales.
sales stuff.
Years.
Um,
Yeah.
I don't I don't know because if you're talking about the biggest pitch, right? And this again, this is my opinion. The biggest pitch of Game Pass, the biggest pitch of PlayStation Plus, which is like on the PlayStation Plus side, the biggest pitch on Nintendo Switch Online, which again, really no on the NSO side, is the opportunity to pay a subscription to play that game, that first party game, day one versus paying whatever the price point is. They're still paying themselves, right? They're still going ahead and paying the servers. They're still paying for the employees that built the game, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know because these companies hold those metrics, those numbers like close hold. Will like unless they tout about it, right? Like on the Xbox side, they did it with Forza Horizon 5. It was like we had 12 million people before the game even launched, and by that we could infer, well, you shouldn't have been able to play the game before launch unless you bought the whatever the upgrade piece, right? So we could kind of extrapolate there and go, okay, here's actual
No, they could
numerical
also
value.
count pre-installs and whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, but, I mean, at least that was at least something we could go off, right? Like, hey, here's this quantitative figure multiplied by, we just say a portion of that, 90% of which, and then you're going to get a monetary figure of how many people potentially bought at least part of the game, right? In the expansion DLC format or whatever. But as long as these companies keep those numbers close hold, I don't think we're going to know. To loop back around and answer your question directly, I don't know. I don't think so. I
Oh,
think it's just following the trend of media as a
yeah.
whole with subscription stuff. Do I think that plays in with letting employees go or something like that? No. To me, no. Because you could look at it from any private corporate industry or government industry for that matter. Like the biggest thing that you're paying for is humans. When you start talking about healthcare, housing, insurance, like salaries, all this stuff, that's the biggest cost. Like it's not the product, it is the people making the product. And so everybody's moving in that direction of how do we get the best bang for buck. What I do think will come of all this, and I know this isn't what you asked, I'm just going to inject this though, is I think this last year and going forward, what we're seeing, especially with the threat of AI coming in and getting ready to take over a lot of these jobs, I think we're going to finally start to see unionization among game developers. Almost outside of their individual companies, right? Because again, we're getting into talking about Xbox here and business strategy and whatnot. Like, sure, Microsoft goes ahead and advocates saying, yes, please form your unions, this, that, and the other. But if you have a union that spans the entire industry, borderless of whatever major corporation they're working for, Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, Tencent, uh, any of the other ones. And it's just like, yeah, your job is safe as long as you partake in this, and that's a huge negotiating piece. I I'm not like a Teamster guy, but I think that would definitely stop these corporations in their tracks from thinking further about worrying just about the bottom line, because if literally everybody stops working to develop your friggin' product, you no longer have something to sell. Now you're heavily relying on Game Pass and doing third parties and stuff like that, but you're going to lose a lot of favor internally. And I think there'll be enough people, non-casuals, right, more of the hardcore like us, that'll hear about that, and we'll get hopefully a little bit vocal in support of those folks. Yeah, sorry, I know that wasn't really
I know.
down
No,
that line.
it's yeah. So, I mean, like the Series X, like the Series X and S was going on year 4 now, and there's not really any talks of like next gen.
Oh, girl, you've
You
been
know,
away. There's definitely been talks about next gen.
um, well, like Switch 2's coming out, like, and they've been out for that console's only been out for
That's like
6 years,
7 years, I think, right?
7 years. Yeah, I mean they're on their own anyway, but
Yeah.
I feel like the generation thing is like, coming to a close, and it's just gonna be like you said, a more free for all sort of thing, third party and unionized ordeal.
I mean, yeah, I would love for that to happen, personally. With regard to the Xbox thing going forward, though, right? Taking in a lot of what I heard, I agree 100% with what Mo said. We don't know jack, right? They could come out and be like, this was overblown and blah 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 blah, which is quite frankly my theory number one, my multiverse number one, if you will, is they come out and they basically reiterate the same thing that Xbox has previously said. We're going to look at games on a case by case basis on what makes sense to put it out there to other platforms. Now, I see that, and I want to just shoot it in the foot, because you're going ahead and you're talking about like Sea of Thieves. Okay, cool. I could see that. That's a multiplayer, et cetera, et cetera. There's some that is intrinsically multiplayer, I should say. Hi-Fi Rush, that's single player all the way. Like, unless you're just basically going, hey, you guys did good, you didn't do good enough. We need to make some more money off of this. It frustrates me that it's like, oh, that's a B game, so that's okay that it goes to other platforms. But then when you hear stuff like Starfield and Gears of War, like, you guys made huge hypes, separate time frames, to their own right, but you guys made huge hypes about these games, first party, this, that, and the other, and now to bring it out on other consoles, you're taking away, and especially that, almost judicially speaking, like, I get it where Satya Nadella went ahead and came out and said he doesn't even like the idea of console exclusivity. It's just the way that the world works when it comes to, the game business. However, when we saw that great ABK deal that we didn't want to talk about but had to talk about for like a year and a half, what was their big thing? They were like, well, look at those guys. Look at those guys. They have console exclusives, and that's how we keep getting hammered. And that was like your huge selling point for trying to onboard ABK, is essentially what I read, to go ahead and have exclusives to your ecosystem. And now you're just like, no, everybody gets it, which, why the hell didn't you just say that to begin with when you were going through the court stuff? And I think it would have flown through tremendously faster, because now you're saying you're not going to gatekeep the stuff. Well, then there's no harm, no foul. Like, that 18 months or whatever it was of court case could have probably been like 6, because everyone would have been like, wait, so you're buying these guys, but everybody's going to get to play this stuff? Well, sure, approve. Next, right? Like, what do you have on that one, Snipe?
No. Yeah, I got nothing on that.
Okay.
I agree.
Mo, did you have something?
I don't understand the outrage. I don't like exclusivity, and I think the console war thing is stupid. So they're trying to,
I mean, we grew up with the
get past that.
exclusive era, though.
Yeah.
I know,
And
but it was always lame. I hated it.
I think that's exactly what it is that the outrage is stemming from, is the fact that you're talking about, and this kind of gets in with one of my other theories, you're talking about generational knowledge, or institutionalized knowledge over time. Like, oh, if I want to play SOCOM, if I want to play God of War, if I want to play, I have to get this, right? Like, so.
Well, right, yeah, and I mean,
we were.
That is unfortunate that that's how that goes. But that is a bullshit system, and frankly, like, it's
the way business was,
it's,
right?
Well, right. but it's a manipulative tool. Like that's the whole reason that fanboyism and the console war thing is even a thing, right? Like people identify with a product as like part of how you know who you are or whatever, and thus you are inclined to defend it to the death because it is some core part of your person or something. Um,
Yeah, how
kind
many
of messed
times have
up.
you heard it?
Kind
Oh,
of
I'm
messed
on
up.
PlayStation. Oh, it's
But
what?
but
So
this is
yeah, but so like
something.
if we're trying to get rid of that, I'm cool with that. Frankly, like that's the whole reason that we're glad that we can buy PlayStation games on PC or whatever. It's like, look, man, I don't necessarily want to have separate systems to play all the games. Like make make your platform, if you're a console provider, that make it something that's desirable for itself. And that's kind of where this is all going anyway, right? Like I think that's if Xbox is positioning itself to start going third party and releasing everything everywhere and whatever, and having less of a focus on you got to buy this Xbox to do it, it's because it's becoming so unnecessary, right? Like the hardware is all the same. It's no longer like specially developed, like we did our own thing with this. It's standardized stuff to allow them to be more easily ported to, all other kind of a PC essentially. But yeah, like we're moving away from a point where you really need to be reliant on a specific piece of hardware. Certainly like a specialized piece of hardware. Like from my perspective, if I'm Xbox, I'm like, okay, cool. So like if we've got now a market of people that expands well beyond just those who've bought into the Xbox ecosystem, why not take advantage of that? Like as messed up as it may sound to you, Xbox fanboy, I apologize, but like if the proposition is my ultimatum is okay, well you either leave Halo or whatever as a exclusive title, or I'll go elsewhere and I'll play it elsewhere. What's the loss for Xbox? You know what I mean? Like if they can get away from having to build and design a console for you to buy that they sell at a loss anyway, generally speaking, in order to get you to buy the game and play it, and you're just going to do that anyway, then that's a win for them anyway, and if you enjoy your experience more elsewhere than on an Xbox console, then all the better for you. You get to play the game and do it where you want it. That's why Xbox started coming out with all their games on PC as well, because it's like, hey, we get it. Some people are not going to buy a console. They enjoy their PC, experience or whatever. Well, cool. There's no reason for us not to sell you the game. You know what I mean? Like, you want to play Halo? Well, hell, we want to sell it to you. We want your money. Come on. So yeah, fuck it.
Yeah,
No,
I mean,
no exclusive.
when you're talking
Then
about,
they still have.
huh? What do you have,
Oh,
Snipe?
I was gonna say, but then they still have those games that are only on console.
Yeah.
Like just
there,
bring
there are.
everything.
There are.
So
Just bring everything over.
I'm gonna poop a little. I'm gonna poop a little on Mo's argument, because it's like sitting here saying, "Oh, this is stupid. This is who you are as a person." Like that's human psychology.
I understand.
20,
and
20
why they
miles,
manipulate it.
20 miles down
I
the
understand where
road.
it comes from.
20
This is
miles
not
down
good.
the road, things are about to get hot and heavy here in Vegas, called the friggin' Super Bowl. And I guarantee
That's
you
right.
there's
I
a ton
agree.
of
That's
people
part of
who
that
are going to
too.
wear red.
It's
There's a ton of people who are going to wear gold,
yes,
right? Like,
it's a whole
so.
thing throughout our entire existence. It's really messed up. We could go into it if you want, but I
No, no,
don't
no,
think
no,
you
no,
want
no,
to do
no. We
that.
don't need to
I'll
do the
do that
after
in your
dark. We don't need to do the
yeah.
after dark comment. That's gonna go way too far. Anyways, so yeah, to that point, like that is, if anything, that's a good nod to us. I'm getting off topic here, but that's a good nod to us that, like,
Full
if
circle.
the human psyche is like, I don't play the game, but I have to align with this team, using the sports reference thing. Like, I have memorabilia, I have this, that, and the other. Like, that's one of those things that gives us a sense of belonging and a sense of whatever. And I think that is the part that's being infringed upon or allegedly about to be infringed upon here with this Xbox decision or whatever the hell they're going to announce. But that goes ahead, and there is another opportunity here, and that kind of moves into my multiverse theory number 2, which I can't even claim credit for this. I actually lifted this off of somebody from one of the Twitter Spaces, and if I remembered that gentleman's name, I apologize. I don't remember the name, but this dude had a pretty interesting perspective. He said, "Hey, if you kind of look at the table, look at the board, right, and you start seeing how Microsoft was making all these moves, like moving people around, executives around to different titles and different whatever within the Xbox ecosystem, it potentially lays out an opportunity where Xbox still has their first party stuff, and now they have a separate section, kind of like how they had Xbox Global Publishing, but that was like basically bringing in third parties to do specific games for them. But now they have this specific section of the business that is legitimately like third party, and call that the ABK, call that whatever, right? So the idea of Call of Duty, for example, one of the big names that got brought up during the thing, it was like, no, everyone will get to play Call of Duty, blah, 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 blah. And they were like, you'd be dumb because you'd be leaving money on the table if you didn't try to sell that on other platforms, on PC, etc. Maybe they're looking at that the same way with Diablo, with World of Warcraft, with StarCraft, right? All their hit franchises over there. And so maybe they're going to do some shuffling on the board again, or they're going to talk about it. But in this theory too, they have a specific third-party publishing arm that, cool, the money's still funneling back into Xbox, funneling back into Microsoft, but like those games, it is a known quantity that those will be going to all the different platforms, instead of this argument of, we just saw this trailer and we didn't see that it said Xbox exclusive, or it didn't even say Xbox on there, like, blah, blah, right? Like stupid crap. So I think that's that was actually
exclusive.
Exclusive. I wish I had the audio thing ready to go. Exclusive.
Premiere.
But yeah, like, so I mean, we'll still have world premieres, hopefully. But yeah, so like on that, dividing the business up, like this is our dedicated first party stuff. These are the hit or miss. But again, like that theory is kind of, I don't want to say nullified, but it takes some of the wind out of its sails when you say things, or some of these leaks have said, oh well, like Gears of War. Gears of War would not fall within that subset of like newly acquired studios or IP that Xbox was already thinking about having go third party and or multi-platform and whatnot. So that, I don't know, that seems like a really great one to me. I don't think it's going to go that way though, or I don't know how it would go that way if those rumors are to be believed. What do you guys think? Anything?
Again, I'm all for it. Like,
I think what you're for.
If there's people like, if they're like, because again, like, if you're somebody who's got locked into the PlayStation ecosystem, you know what I mean, and you're just a PlayStation gamer, but you've been dying secretly to play Gears of War and
You've never
and whatever for all this time, and yeah, and Microsoft's like, that's cool, baby, we got you. Here it is on PlayStation, the big bundle release or whatever. You can go play all these games you've been itching to for all these years. Like, if people are willing to buy it and play it, like, again, where is the loss for them? And as people that are into Xbox, hey, maybe that goes to show that yes, you were right this whole time. These games were good, and like, yes, like you knew you wanted to play them the whole time. Now you are, whatever. Like, feel good about it. I don't know. Like, yeah, I don't know. I can't see a world in which that is like a terrible loss for everyone. And if nothing else, hell, greater sales or whatever, hopefully for them translates into less of a rush to increase the Game Pass subscription fee or like increase the sales of individual game, retail points or whatever. Like, hey, if we can sell to the entire gaming market rather than half of it or whatever, if you will. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was gonna say that's
And
like
it's better for us
come full
anyway,
circle with the
if
subscriptions at
it's a
that
single
point.
player game, who cares? And if it's a multiplayer game, it means a greater player base for everybody to be able to play together and everything. Like I don't know.
and
Yeah.
I think that brings us into my third theory.
Tribalism is dumb.
That's
Right.
yeah.
Right.
Oh, I so want to do a G3 After Dark just based on that comment alone. Um, but that brings us into at least my third theory, which to me is the scariest, and I'll explain why. I just titled it Sega all over again because that in this theory, in this multiverse or whatever, Microsoft, not Xbox,
Should have given
because
them the subtitles.
let's be clear that Microsoft is holding the leash right now, right? And I say that because I think the fact that Phil even put that tweet out, he's acknowledging that there is a core fan base that is riled up about this, and it doesn't help that they've been kind of mum on what they like. Just come out and friggin' say it, like peel the band-aid off. Again, something I have to lift off of somebody that I heard in the Twitter Spaces that really resonates right now is like, if you go ahead and you preemptively plan for the trauma, for the stress, you're only going to live it twice, because now you're going ahead and you're preparing for it, and then when it comes out, if it's as bad or worse news, like now you're suffering it again. So it would almost just be better if Xbox went ahead and came out with the friggin' news out front, like they did when they were trying to go ahead and increase the price of Xbox Live Gold, and they basically got shat on, and then they had to walk their plans back. But this whole like tiptoeing, like I'm wondering how much damage control is going on there. But I would not be surprised if leaning into what Mo was talking about, this Theory 3 or Multiverse 3 is Xbox comes out and at the behest of Microsoft goes ahead and says, we are done calling ourselves, a walled garden console exclusive. We've seen lawsuits, Apple, that go ahead and attempt to take those down, right? So if Xbox goes ahead and essentially becomes this, they're a publisher, more so they're a developer, but they're more so focused on being a publisher and having their stuff go everywhere. Because Phil already said, we talked about that interview where he said we've lost the console war, like we lost the toughest generation to lose, that being the Xbox One versus the PS4, because their marketing message, the same situation we have right now, their marketing message and their whatever, like well intentioned as it might have been with always online and blah 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 and your digital games, like so much of that was so forward thinking and forward looking that it's almost like they forgot to look at the market and the consumer base right now. And so my concern is they're going to come out, at least this theory, they're going to come out and they're going to say, hey, we're focused on being a publisher and our games are going to be everywhere that, platforms are willing to partner with, right? So as long as PlayStation is willing to bring it over, as long as Switch is willing to bring it over, we already know they're on in the PC space. And my fear is that tapping in with what they've said about we lost the console war, etc., we're going to see Sega all over again, like when Sega tried to compete with PlayStation and they got their junk kicked in, right? Like the Dreamcast was the last great Sega, console. And now Sega is just that. They're a publisher. They've got a couple developers under their house. But again, opinion, I would say Sega is a shadow of its former self by doing that decision. Like, yeah, you have some nice titles here and there, right? With the like a Dragon series. All of a sudden, like I'm at a loss for other titles, and that is what I'm concerned about. Is that Xbox will potentially go down that road. They're like, there was no way of us competing with PlayStation, PS5 to Xbox Series sales is like a 3-to-1. There's no point on us continuing in the hardware space, which Microsoft seems to keep failing in. So we're just going to
Well,
go.
that's I was going to say, yeah, they're software people.
Yeah, we're just going to go with what we know, right? We're just going to go with what we know, software. And I mean, offline, you yourself have even griped about the notion of like, oh, they're going to add in this. They're talking about adding subscription fees to Windows, right? Like, my fear is when we get rid of diversifying our income focus, consoles, Game Pass, individual sales.
But that's
we're
the thing,
going to
though,
go ahead
the
and we're going to
consoles,
what?
They still at a loss. You know what I mean? Like
But
that's the whole.
But the point is the math of the consoles is generally
Yeah, but if people
speaking.
can buy the games anywhere, the whole idea with the console thing was that you make the console, and then you get the sales off of the video games and everything.
Bingo.
So if you can, well, right. But so that's the thing. It's cutting out the middleman in the process. So if you no longer need to sell someone a console at a loss to sell them the video games for profit, and you can just sell them the video games for profit, or get them to pay the subscription for the monthly thing, for profit, then
But
wait.
that is a one side, and especially coming from you, that's hilarious, right? Because that is a very one sided view. That is, what do I, the corporation, gain from this? Not
for you,
the
consumer, but for you, the consumer as well. You don't have to make the decision of, oh God, do I get a PlayStation or an Xbox, or do I have to get both and a PC? I can just have what I want and play all the games.
Let's be clear. I don't think that's a big dilemma. I think that may be a you dilemma. I think there are diehard PlayStation people. There are diehard Xbox people.
Yes, up, y'all. How many of you would prefer to be able to have access to everything? But for financial reasons, obviously have to go with what an option or a couple of options. Can't have all of them or whatever, but would like to have all of them. How many of you love to play Mario on your Xbox? How many would like to play Halo on your PlayStation? Let us know.
And again,
let us know.
This is maybe me banging on Xbox right now because I think, using that same example I said before, right? Forza Horizon 5. What else came out that year?
Lots of things.
Go ahead. I'll wait. No, nothing. It was.
You mean for Xbox?
It was the Halo multiplayer. That was the only other thing that came out that year.
You're talking about from Xbox, maybe.
So
on Game Pass, or like, what are you?
Yeah, I'm talking about actual, like, whatever, physical releases or something. A first party no crap release. There was nothing else that year. So to that point, if you're hedging all your bets on this one game, and let's just say it falls short, then you're kind of screwed, right? So when you look at it in the sense of the console sale mentality, and you're trying to go ahead and sell the console. Again, what?
I don't know. I'm so confused by they still.
Because you're not letting me finish the point.
Okay, right.
So my point is, if you buy the friggin' console, you're gonna feel some incentive or some drive or some pressure of, I got to make use of this box that I spent $400 or $500 on. The company, sure, they made a freaking loss. I, as the consumer, don't give a damn about that. I'm like, okay, I need to make use of this device. So how do I do that? I am charging myself. I am putting that onus on me that I need to buy these games to get the most out of that thing. Unless you're somebody like us who has...
So the manipulation of the consumer is the good thing for the consumer?
Did I say that? Did I say that?
I don't know.
I said, and again, like, Jesus H.
I sorry, my bad.
My point is, when you go to ask iPhone users. Let's talk to Snipe90, right? Like, hey, Snipe90, wouldn't you like to breathe outside the walled garden that is Apple? I guarantee you, he's gonna have at least 5 reasons where he's like, well, no, because, and no, because, and no, because. When you go ahead and you cultivate stuff for that specific thing,
I'm probably a bad example because I'm rarely on the App Store. I play 2 games, but
come on, you're coming to us from a Mac right now, right?
No, I'm on the PC.
I know. I'm just kidding.
but yes. So, me personally, I would like to just have my Xbox and my computer and play all my stuff. But then
Oh, yeah.
But you
this
ain't gonna get
this
to,
can
though.
go on, and we could talk about this for like 3 hours.
But in that example, though, you ain't gonna get to, because you're not gonna get PlayStation stuff over on, unless you're assuming you're gonna get it on PC. You're not gonna get it on Xbox, because PlayStation not gonna do that, hands down.
Correct.
They are not, right?
Correct.
So to the point of, here we go, they're selling the consoles at a loss. They're selling the invitation to go ahead and buy more of their software that is made for their system.
But like
They're
what
dismissing
Matt was
that.
saying, like I did really want to play, Horizon Zero Dawn and God of War, but do I want to pay, $300, $400 to play the game, or do I want to wait and miss out on, the new release and then kind of just wait for it to get ported, maybe?
Well, and the other thing that we're not talking about here is, like, we're talking about ported, we're talking about the PC, PC Master Race. Like, how are we going to sit here and talk about the economy and everything, but we're not going to mention how potentially cost prohibitive it is for some people to get a mid to high tier PC nowadays? Like,
Well,
that's
of course
that's two
I mean,
different
and
times.
that's
Talking something you already have.
So my point is, the console is, to the general population, a far more promising invite and consumer friendly in that regard for my pocketbook, for me to go ahead and get that thing, and that is the invitation for further software sales.
Nobody's arguing that nobody should make a console or cater to that market or whatever.
But again, this is just my
But
theory,
if Sony
right?
is willing
Is
to
if
be, well, yeah, but like if Sony's willing to be, just like we've talked about that before. You pine for the one console, whatever, like world or whatever. Yes, let Sony be the one who makes the PlayStation. They can hone and refine that to offer the best console experience possible or whatever. And then you could just play all the games there.
At what price?
What
At
do you mean at what price?
At what price? That is the other fear. And again, I have been, you say I pine for one thing, like, I have been very vocal about Sony's shit business practices when it comes to
No, I wasn't saying
how
for
they handle
Sony to be the guru. I was just saying just a one.
But you're saying, like, oh, if Microsoft's like, oh, we're going to be hands off, let them make the console. Yeah, fine. But now they know, they being PlayStation, know they're not in competition with the Switch. As, Snipe alluded to earlier, Switch is a different animal. If I have no direct competition at this point, screw it. Consoles are now $800.
But if you're doing
service is now this much money. Like, you have to have competition in the space.
Well, but you still have the subscription services, and people are going to be able to start playing, on their phone and mobile devices and whatever.
With who? With who?
You can.
We're talking about Xbox.
Xbox, Game Pass. You can do GeForce, whatever it is. You can do.
I would love to see those numbers.
Okay, but I'm saying those options exist, and frankly, you can put together a tower that could probably, at least run games and do whatever for 800. But like, it's not. I mean, hey, it'll run, and things are always, going down as things get older, or whatever. Like, you'd be able to compete with whatever, or if the console is just your best, option at $800, then things are getting more expensive anyway. So it's gonna happen. But yeah, I don't know.
There's not going to be a point in time where the games are just going to stay, I guess, generational. So like,
well, and if the video card makers, like, honestly, it's all going to be more expensive. Like, if the video card makers don't have, the same contracts to outfit the chips to console makers and mass contracts, or I don't know, who knows.
To finish my multiversal theory here, here's the long end of my concern with the whole theory 3 is, they go ahead and they say, hey, we're focused only on software development.
I don't think they're going to do that,
right? Well, just freaking hear me out. You went ahead and you got your stuff. Just hear me out. Yeah. So they go ahead and they say, hey, we're stepping back from console. Cool. Now they go ahead. I would bet cash money right now that the people that play StarCraft or World of Warcraft are not necessarily the same diversity of taste in games like maybe I am, right? Where I play racing games, I play shooters, I play adventure, I play. Sure, there's probably some people out there, but I'm also in a good position where I can afford a lot of these games. So now you're doing this like, what the hell is that called? The Venn diagram of like, here's the people that can afford this hobby as it gets more expensive. Here's the number of people who actually buy all your games, and you try to stay diversified. There's a small number of people in the middle that can actually afford and buy a lot of these products. So over time, decade, maybe two, you start to see Xbox fall into the same thing EA, Activision, all these other companies has done, where they're like, hey, this last one didn't hit. We got to shut down this studio because we need to appease the stockholders, not our consumer base. We need to appease the stockholders. And now all of a sudden, Xbox becomes Sega, where they put out a couple hits here and there. They're known for just those hits, and the rest of it is like, why do we even have a gaming business to begin with? So that is my concern, is they're going to make a decision that will eventually lead them into irrelevance, or damn near.
I mean, I'll agree with you with that concern, and that was my concern with the whole Game Pass. That's kind of the way that it's all going anyway. You know, that the market's blowing up. It's too saturated. There's too much for people that can't also. Yeah, that's a different conversation. But yes, I mean there is the balloon of video games, and it's been hitting various snags, but.
But yeah, so
that's been my big concern with all the consolidation. You know what I mean? You get one player scooping up all these studios and everything, and then we finally hit the big balloon burst, and it's like, okay, well, now everything is.
I don't, and that's definitely another conversation, because I don't know what the balloon burst is that you're referring to here, unless you're talking about a recession, and at which point I'm more concerned about a lot of other things than one.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's that, but I'm talking about even just for. Well, what? Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just don't know what the balloon reference was. Like,
I'm just talking about for a specific industry, like
Microsoft is not going to go bankrupt. Tencent is not going to go bankrupt.
I'm not talking about you're going to see bankruptcy or whatever. I'm talking about a balloon burst where they're going to let people go and whatever because they realize well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's rather than like one big deflation, it's kind of just happening in stages or whatever as they're readjusting. But yeah,
yeah, you lost me. All right. Anyways,
okay.
So let's get on and go to the best part of the show that people love to hear about. Maybe release radar. What do you got? What do you got before we hit release radar? What?
Did you guys see the Knuckles series coming out?
Yeah,
talking about Sega.
Oh my god, yeah.
No, wait.
Yes,
series?
did see a commercial for that.
It's a series.
Oh yeah, it's a series. Yeah, 6-episode limited run series on Paramount Plus.
It picks up right after the second movie.
That's just the new stratification. Like Last of Us, Halo, Sonic, Knuckles, Tails, like if you can go ahead and you can extrapolate your IP further than just the one medium that is known for, that being video games, right? Then you have that opportunity to hopefully gain more income over time. So, in short, no, I didn't see the trailer for it.
Well, that's where the studio becomes the publisher. So, Sega's, it was their time to get out, and now they're doing, video projects. Xbox had their first step in the door was Halo.
And I would still argue hanging on by a thread with the exception of their hit title. And I'm really not trying to sound like I'm disparaging Sega. That's just the most recent one in memory where they literally went toe-to-toe with somebody else. And it took a little longer. Actually, I think it was more concise than what we've seen with the Xbox PlayStation piece. But, yeah. So they just moved on. And I don't know if they did that for the better. I don't know what it looks like internally with their stuff. Anywho.
On to the big question. Who's playing Ready or Not tonight with me?
We're talking about release radar right now.
Release radar, sorry.
Yeah. So we got Banishers, Ghosts of New Eden on PS5, Xbox Series,
yeah,
and
right.
PC February 13th. Dragon Quest Builders on PC February 13th. Islands of Insight on PC February 13th. What is this? Lisfanga, the Time Shift
Let
Warrior.
this thing go.
Lisfanga, sure. On PC February
Yeah.
13th.
How are we checking our brisket? Oh, sorry.
Ultros on PS5 and 4 and PC February 13th. Arzette, the Jewel of Faramore on PS5, 4, Xbox Series, Xbox One, Switch, and PC on February 14th. Tomb Raider 1 through 3 Remaster coming out on
The only one on my list. We can skip
PS5,
those.
4, Xbox Series, Xbox One, Switch, and PC February 14th. A Little to the Left, Story of Mo's Life. PlayStation 5, 4, Xbox Series, and Xbox One on February 15th. Plate Up on PS5, 4, Xbox Series, and Switch February 15th. Mario vs. Donkey Kong on Switch February 16th.
Yeah.
And another fan favorite, as I understand it, the Skull and Bones, finally coming
Got that
out on
pre-order.
February 16th on PS5, Xbox Series, Stadia, RIP, and PC. Whew. All right. Snipe, what are we getting? Anything?
Well, I already repurchased with my voucher Mario Donkey Kong,
Yeah.
as well as the Princess Peach. So just waiting.
Okay.
Skull and Bones. Yeah, I'm gonna hop on that. For sure.
Yeah.
It's like now we gotta get back into CFTs. But other than that, that's all. That's all for me.
Okay.
What you got?
Well, yeah, since Mr. MowThemDown decided to leave us here. Let's see.
Tomb Raider.
Okay, he says Tomb Raider as he yells from whatever he's got going on. All right, Tomb Raider.
He likes
1
them,
through 3 remaster.
Boxy graphics, I guess. Maybe they round them out for the remaster.
Yeah, they definitely rounded out. So as for myself, yeah, the Tomb Raider remasters, Mario vs. Donkey Kong. I gotta see. I don't know if I have credits or if I have a voucher, but I've definitely been interested in getting in that one. Skull and Bones. I had an invite to the beta. I didn't get to hop in there, but I'm definitely
this much.
I'm definitely interested to see Yves Guillemot went ahead and he said
Dead in 3 months.
He said this is Ubisoft's quadruple A title,
Yeah.
which I would love to see what a quadruple A title looks like for them, and if they're measuring that based on the money they spent
I really
to
like
develop
that.
the game or quality of the game.
Beyond Good and Evil 2.
I feel like we're gonna have to play it
AAA.
just to get some type of personal review.
AAA.
Yeah. All right. But with that, so not gonna clock out just yet. If folks are still with us here after the hour, close on an hour and 10 minutes. What you guys may remember if you've been catching the show is we're recording this on February 10th, and we said that was going to be 1 month since we started the Backlog Beatdown Challenge. So we do have some results. And let me go ahead and make sure I can transition it here well. Interestingly enough, I think it'll pop up when I pop it up here. So you can see we got some credits rolling. Courtesy of Mr. Snipe90, he somehow ungodly,
This guy.
I think. Yeah, went ahead and he completed his beatdown challenge of Assassin's Creed Valhalla in 1 month.
But I got some comments for the listeners.
Okay. Fire away.
I do not recommend this game to any OG Creed fans at all. I wish, like, when I did Psychonauts 2, I thoroughly enjoyed playing through that.
Yeah.
This was like horrific.
Oh wow. Okay.
There's so much, as you know, I mentioned to you guys offline, like there's so much like fluff and non-related stuff they just threw in. It's easily a 15, 20 hour game without all the bullshit.
Wow.
But
and they added in
anywho,
110 hours worth.
yeah, it's ridiculous. Like they make you do these like hour-long raids that have not just to build up your
Metal
your
Gear Solid
base
is much the same, unfortunately.
that has
dives
nothing
too
to
deep
do
into
with the actual.
RPG.
It's way too much RPG in this game. But anywho, Matt is. Did you have 1 or 2 months?
I've got till April.
Yeah, he's got.
Okay.
He,
Yeah,
he
you
did
got plenty of time.
He did a 3-month. Yeah.
You got plenty of time.
Myself though, I went ahead and I bottom
I
line,
wish that
I
we were
failed.
watching this live, or we were streaming this live, so I could watch the video.
You'll have to watch it after, unfortunately,
That's
because
right.
we had to abort the live stream. But I'll go ahead and put it up here in a second. Basically, I went ahead and I failed. My thing, because I could have done just
You didn't even do the challenge all
I,
at once.
I could have eliminated, but I could have eliminated any blowback, but I decided to go ahead and try to spice things up, and I was trying to hold myself to finishing Dishonored 1 and Dishonored 2. That did not happen due to a myriad of reasons, family stuff, work stuff, what have you. So right now I'm going to throw up on the screen. Thought I did my phone a different orientation, but I went ahead and did the 100 push-ups. I did not realize until watching the video how much I actually allow my neck to flex while doing that, and I don't know if that's somewhat to alleviate stuff I got going on with my back. I also tried to make use of not hurting my wrists because my wrists started feeling better. I just gave time out, time back in. Did a second recording, 2 sets of 50. The latter part of the second set of 50 push-ups did not go so well. As I'm looking here, I'm going, damn, those are some weak elbow bends. So that's 100% on me for having weak form there, and that's my fault because I tried to keep it all like essentially within like 10 minutes. It really was like within 10 minutes I tried doing these. Yeah, and you see me like pick my hand up there because I started feeling my wrists again. So slightly painful endeavor, but it's not the end of the world.
That's why I'm fat and sick, because I got to do push-ups on my knuckles. Because that whole
that's I had to do that.
Right.
You'll see I alternate back and forth on that.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so,
doing them on your knuckles ain't fun.
Yeah, so got the push-ups done, and then moving into the Cheeto challenge. The guys were a little impressed that I went ahead and I had the family size bag.
I was less impressed when I learned you did it in 2 sittings.
It was 3 sittings, and
He got that family bag.
how you gonna? Yeah,
I mean,
that's
I
a
thought that
family
was
pack.
supposed to be it anyway. It was supposed to be a giant bag of hot Cheetos.
You know what it sounds like?
I thought you were getting the little.
No, man. That's what makes
Not
it
the
a
little,
challenge.
just
That's what makes it a challenge, baby. So, I was a little disappointed, honestly, because I just realized
Should have done the tie.
the Cheetos were making noise there. Sorry for anybody that might have had noise. There's probably a lot of noise going on there.
I like crunching.
Yeah, but anyways, yeah, hot Cheeto challenge. I was a little disappointed because my wife was sweet enough to go get the bag for me, and I was like, I want this one, and it was like the double X hot Cheeto, like it was like Black Label, like special Cheeto brand, and it looked like they had it at Walmart. And then she went in there and was like, yeah, they didn't have that one, so I got this one, and it was like just a step down. It was still in the hot Cheeto category, but it wasn't like ghost pepper or whatever the heck the thing was. So and then as you see, I'm just like, it's more a chore than anything else. As you watch the video, like I'm not breaking a sweat. I think I had a slight sweat, but that was also because our house is like fluctuating temperature like crazy lately. But yeah, I'm just banging through the bag, no issues whatsoever. And I think in total, that was the most tedious part for me, was how long the thing took. And no, my BMs have been fine. Thank you, gentlemen, for your concern. No cold
Did we not get a shot of the orange?
No cold towels necessary. Everything's fine. Like I said, I eat curry and stuff like that and Thai food regular. This is not, I grew up on that. This is not this was not a egregious challenge for me. So that being said, as I'm looking at it, it's funny because I put the video in like 4 times speed just to get through it, because in total I think it was like 30 minutes or something crazy that I ate, the bag over a period of time. And I just didn't want to sit there forever and never because I started feeling the chalkiness like caught in my teeth. But yeah, outside of that, so I look like a friggin' rabbit just munching on this thing here. But it is what it is. So
Blended it up with some water and drank it as a smoothie.
yeah, I mean, I actually thought about doing something like that just to possibly like, but doing that, like, you add water, it's just dilute it and whatnot. So
Oh yeah, it'd be disgusting.
anyways, so as I'm sitting here talking about it, I think I just burped
And
some
then
up.
come back up to kill him right now.
They come back
up.
Yeah, literally. I got so full, I'm finishing the bag earlier. I didn't eat dinner. So now it's like, 9 o'clock at night. I'm about to go eat some dinner after the show. But yeah, so Mr. MowThemDown, you got, what did we say? Basically 2 months left to knock out what you got to knock out. So, so
We'll see.
Mr. Snipe 90s succeeded. Mr. Known as Ice failed. And yeah, that was the other thing. All of a sudden, my nose started going crazy. Like, I don't know if it was clearing me out. God. Of course, now I'm done with all my drink. Yeah, I don't know if the hot Cheetos were clearing me out, but I had to like blow my nose a little at one point. But anyways, cool. So that's it. That's gonna go ahead and, I mean, I wonder if there's a way. I don't think there's a way of me like fast forwarding through the video any faster than we're already doing here, because I want you guys to see the part where I go ahead and I finish it out. But just trust me that I'm demolishing the bag and I actually finished it out. Maybe I'll show the rest of the video at another time, because I don't want to keep us drug on here just for that. Anywho, Known as Ice on all things EMS social media. Y'all can find me. What have I been doing? What have I been playing? So I did play some Dishonored. I went ahead and I played a little more Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. I think I barely tapped into Slay the Spire. Barely. It's been a lot of like sitting, spending time with my wife, not playing games. Yeah, so there's that. Mr. MowThemDown, what you doing? What you been playing? Where can the people find you?
Find me nowhere, as per usual.
What a creep.
Insofar as what I've been playing, fell back into Baldur's Gate, so I've been playing that.
We gotta get our campaign back on track.
Yeah, I know, right? We do. But then I went ahead and purchased Ready or Not because it was on sale, and I've been getting kind of sucked into that for real. I check it out. I see. Yeah, yes. I knew it. I knew he'd do it. And Leo, I know it's on your wish list because I can see it every time I go to boot up the game.
What are we talking about? Sorry, which one are we talking about? I'm still.
Ready or Not.
Oh,
Ready or Not. It's the spiritual successor to the SWAT games or whatever.
Yeah, I'm still enthralled looking at me down in this bag of hot Cheetos.
But no, it's been pretty good so far. Yeah, it's tough, but it's pretty cool. Yeah, so I'm getting more into the PC. I'm trying to scratch all my itch for games that I can't get on the console, kind of thing. Yeah.
All right, Mr. Snipe 90, what you been doing?
We need people to fill out a SWAT. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Well, now that I got the anchor loose, be playing some of this Ready or Not, I guess. And whatever else, Baldur's Gate.
Yeah.
Maybe
Download Baldur's Gate on Xbox, Leo, and
yeah.
buy and install Ready or Not. You got decent internet now. It won't take you that long for Ready or Not, Baldur's Gate 3 is pretty big. But
It is
All right.
massive.
Cool. Well, that's going to wrap it up, guys, for episode 107 of Gaming's Greatest Generation podcast. Feel free to like, subscribe, share with a friend. We are going to have some polls and some comment questions just to see what you guys think the expectation management should be for this next week with Xbox's official announcement. Hopefully you'll crap all over Mo's thoughts and you'll agree with me that they should keep a console in the space. That being said, that being said, we'll go ahead and clock out before we start throwing fisticuffs digitally here. Yeah, Gaming's Greatest Generation. Hit us up. You can check us out. G3podcast.live. We've got our link tree that's going to be linked in the show notes. Check out our previous episodes, all that good stuff, right? And remember,
check out our live play on Ready or Not.
Yeah, I'll record some.
And remember, Gaming's Greatest Generation is the one you guys are a part of.